Now, Democratic Congressman and House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff says a transfer of power is not likely under current law. And if Democrats really want the president out of office, Chairman Schiff says the easiest path is voting him out. President Trump is back in the Oval Office after his brief stay at Walter Reed. He says he feels great and that Americans should not be afraid of the coronavirus. Chairman Schiff, do you agree?
No, I don't agree at all. And I think the families of 210,000 Americans that have lost their lives wouldn't agree either. What's more, we found that even Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell doesn't agree. He said today he hadn't been to the White House in a couple months because he doesn't think they're observing, proper safety. And that ought to tell you something. If they're not doing it at the White House, and clearly they're not, there are 34 people now around the White House who've been infected, then how can we have confidence in what they say in terms of what people around the country should be doing or thinking about the virus?
Some Democrats are now suggesting, and I don't know if you're in this group or not, that given the president's COVID-19 condition and the potential medications that he's receiving, that the 25th Amendment should be under consideration. That, as you know, would allow for a transfer of power to the vice president. Is that going too far?
Well, the way that's triggered is you need the vice president and a majority of the cabinet to recommend to the Congress that the president be relieved of his responsibilities. That's not likely to happen. Certainly Donald Trump, even if he recognized that he was impaired, wouldn't transfer authority. That's just completely inconsistent with his character, which is a character that doesn't look out for the interests of the country, only his personal interests. So, I do think we need to look at the 25th Amendment in terms of whether it is up to the job of a president or a situation like this. But, the near-term remedy is the election, and I just think we need to concentrate on voting him out of office as soon as possible.
In addition to the president having COVID-19, the First Lady was infected. A number of White House staffers, members of the Joint Chiefs have quarantined. Others have been infected with COVID-19, including members of Congress who've tested positive. Does more need to be done, not just at the White House, but on Capitol Hill to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in Washington?
We are trying on the Hill, and part of the challenge that we've had for a long time is that many of the Republican members wouldn't wear a mask and wouldn't social distance, and it was difficult for us to enforce that in the Capitol. I know that in my own committee, the Intelligence Committee, I've often been concerned when some of the Republican members don't show the kind of precautions against this virus that they should. So it's difficult in a partisan environment like the one we're in. But nonetheless, we need to do everything we can to keep the Hill safe, not just for the members, but obviously all the staff and the personnel that keep it going. Frankly, my concern is greater for the American people. We need to be making sure that we ramp up testing so that any American at no cost to them can get a test and a rapid result. So they know whether they need to isolate so that we can do contact tracing. It's the only way we're going to tamp down this virus and get our economy moving again until we have a major rollout of a vaccine, which is still some time away.
Americans are hurting economically. They're waiting for a stimulus bill. President Trump called off the stimulus talks, then later said he was ready to sign a standalone bill authorizing another round of $1,200 checks for Americans. Why are Democrats resisting to that standalone bill?
Because, lots of Americans need help. They want to do a standalone bill on the airlines. Well, the airlines do need help, but, so do a lot of other workers whose unemployment compensation has run out. So do a lot of small business people who are closing their doors, businesses they spent their whole life trying to build. So there's a lot of need right now, but it's clear where the president is coming from. His only interest from the beginning has been a check with his name on it. He views this as basically a campaign mailing that he can do, and that's his interest in a separate bill on a stimulus check. But look, lots of people are hurting. That's not a complete answer. It may be a political answer for the president, but we need to cover schools that need help with protective gear and online education. We need to make sure that we provide the help to our hospitals and our clinics. We need to make sure that renters are not evicted and they get help with rental assistance. All of American families that are in need right now deserve assistance, not just a promotional stunt by the president.